What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome to Throwback Tuesday, where every week we create a look with an older eyeshadow palette from my collection that's always chosen by you. So the way this works is every week I post a poll over my community section with 4 palettes that you have to choose from. I give you a few days to vote, and on Tuesday we create a look with the winning palette. Simple as that. And this week our winning palette is going to be the Oden'S Jewels and Gem palette, and this is such a beautiful cool tone color story. These are my kind of cool tones, and when this palette first launched, I absolutely loved it. It's been a hot minute since I've actually played with it, so I'm hoping that it still performs the way that I remember it performing. I'm hoping that the shimmers are still nice and creamy and they look beautiful on the lid, but regardless, I am excited to create a look with this palette. So I will have this palette as well as everything else that I am wearing on my face today listed and linked down below in the description box for y'all. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box because I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But without further ado, let's zoom in, prime my eyes, and get into creating our look. Alright y'all, so per usual, my eyes are primed and ready to go with my MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly. And for my look, I think I want to play with these sort of like rosy mauve shades in here, maybe throw in some of these blues on the lower lash line. I haven't quite figured it out, so we're just going to kind of roll with it, which is what I usually do. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade right here, this really pretty kind of dusty mid-tone purple shade, which is called Heaven. So I'm going to pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO3 brush, and I'm going to start by kind of fluffing this all in my crease and fluffing it up towards my brow bone, just giving me a little bit of depth and definition. I'm gonna go in pretty light-handed. I want to kind of concentrate that shade more so in the crease and then soften it as I blend it up towards my brow bone. That's looking really pretty. Okay, so far we are performing nicely. Like I said, I was a little bit nervous that this wasn't going to perform the way that I remembered it being, just because my Oden'S palettes, I don't feel like they're aging very well. I feel like a lot of them are really starting to dry out as far as the shimmers go. The mattes are starting to patch up on me and just not give me that same pigmentation. And so far I'm not having that issue. Obviously I'm only one shade in, but you know, so far so good. Alright, so I feel like I'm getting just a little bit of patching like right here on my lid, and I don't know what that is about. Like, I can fix it, it's not a huge deal, but yeah, maybe this palette isn't performing the way that it used to. That's such a bummer because I have so many older eyeshadow palettes in my collection that still perform like they did when I got them, and they are much older than this. But let's move on. So I think what I want to do next is maybe go in with this deep purple shade right here and put it on my outer corner and deepen things up a little bit. So that shade is called Intoxication, and I am going to pick that up with, let's go in with a BK Beauty 211 brush. And I'm just going to start to kind of press this right here on my very outer corner. I'm going to go in pretty light-handed because I do remember this being pretty pigmented and I don't want it to get away from me. I don't want to look like I have a black eye, and some of these more cool tone leaning purples can do that if they get away from me. So I'm just going to kind of press it and build it up out here, and then once I have that shade down, I can start to kind of soften the edges and disperse it just a little bit. But y'all, the weather down here has been insane over the past couple of weeks. It's been really hot, it's been gloomy, it's been kind of like scattered rain every now and then, just enough that it makes everything wet. It makes it to where it's difficult to do anything outside, and it leaves the air really sticky. And then yesterday we had this massive thunderstorm came through. If you watched my Sephora haul video, it got really dark. You could hear the thunder rolling through, and then as soon as I finished filming it, you could hear the rain like hitting the window really hard. I think we even got a little bit of hail. I know we had some tornado warnings going on. We had some flash flooding going on. I didn't have any of that in my area, but definitely like not too far from me we were having that. And then all of a sudden everything cleared out, the sun came out, and the temperatures dropped to like the high 40s, which is insane because before that it was like high 80s, low 90s, just gross and disgusting. So I wouldn't be surprised if everybody ends up sick from these weather changes, because I think the day after tomorrow, well, Tuesday, so when you're watching this, the weather is supposed to go back up to like the high 80s, low 90s, and it's just insane to me. Like, we always get this sort of cold snap at the beginning of April, end of March, right before the really hot weather rolls through. And even though I know it happens every year, it still surprises me for some reason. But hopefully this is like our last little cool snap and we can just move on to the summer and just have all the sunshine, the heat, be outside, and it won't get too hot too fast, because as much as I love summer, I hate the really hot temperatures. It just gets too hot for me. It's overwhelming. It's hard to do anything outside when it's like 109 degrees with 85% humidity. But let's go ahead and carry on. So I think what I want to do next is I need to do something to fix this in here, because it's definitely looking a little bit patchy. So we're probably going to fix that with a shimmer. But I think I want to... Do I want to do some of this shade? I kind of thought about bringing this onto the lower lash line with a little bit of this brown shade, but I'm also kind of toying with the idea of doing some blue down there as well. But I think we're going to stick to the rosy shade. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this brown shade down here, which is called Sazzle. And I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that on a BK Beauty 203 brush. And I'm going to kind of concentrate this more so on the outer edge of my lower lash line. So just kind of lining it up with that deep purple shade that I did up on the lid, just giving me a little bit of depth down here. And I'm going to kind of connect these shades out here in the outer corner. And then once I have this down, I'm going to go back in with that other shade and kind of blend it out, soften it a little bit, and bring it across the rest of my lower lash line. So I'm just going to go back and forth with wiggling motions. I'm not really tight lining, but I'm not really blowing it out either. I don't want to bring it down too far. I don't like to have a lot of smokiness go around my lower lash line, just because I feel like it can really close off my eyes and age me a little bit. So now that I have that done, I am going to pick up this shade right here, this really pretty dusty pink shade, which is called Elation, I believe is what that says. And I'm going to pick that up with a Morphe M506 brush. And like I said, I am just going to fluff this along the rest of my lower lash line, bringing it over to the inner corner and making sure that I really kind of soften that edge on my outer corner. That way everything is just nice and blended. We don't have any harsh lines, and it just flows from one shade to another. So I think I want to go in with just a little bit of this light lavender shade over here, which is called Ecstasy, and just kind of pop it in my inner corner and maybe see if I can rectify this situation a little bit. So I'm going to pick it up with that same Morphe M506 brush that I just used on my lower lash line. I just wiped it off really good, and I'm going to pop it right in here on my inner corner and then start to kind of bring it up and soften this edge on my lid and kind of bring it over into the crease just a little bit, just to see if we can kind of fix things up a little bit. I don't think I'm gonna leave the inner corner matte. I'm probably gonna go in with a shimmer over top of this, but I want to have something to kind of connect everything around and give a little added pop of color in here. But can y'all believe it's already April? I feel like this year has been dragging, but at the same time it's moving by really fast. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, there's days I feel like Christmas, New Year's, all of that was forever ago, but at the same time I look back and I'm like, oh, that was just 4 months ago. Like, we're hardly into the year, but it feels like it has been here forever. Maybe that's just me. I feel like it has really kind of, you know, moving, but at the same time it's not moving. Maybe it's because we've got so much stuff going on, so many things coming up in April and May and moving into the summer, but I don't know. It just kind of hit me in the face when I looked at the calendar and saw that it was April. But for all over the lid, let's do a really pretty shimmer. So I'm kind of thinking this shade right here. This one is called Rhapsody. So let's do a little swatch of this one. This one still feels pretty creamy. It does feel like it's kind of drying out a little bit, but that is the shade Rhapsody. It is so pretty. It's like a brown based greeny duochrome shade. Very, very pretty. I think it would look nice with this look. Clearly that's like a go-to shade for me in this palette because it has the deepest dip in it. But then I'm also toying with the idea of maybe going in with, I kind of like this one up here, this True Purple shimmer shade. I think that's going to make this look a little darker than what I want. I could always pop something over the top to give me some added lightness to it. So the purple one is called Exhilaration, and the other one that I just pulled up is called High. And what do I want to do? This is a really tough decision. I always have a hard time when it comes to the shimmers just because I want to put all of them all over my lid, and clearly I can't do it. But I think we're going to go with the very first shade that I picked, which is called Rhapsody. So let me go ahead and prime my eyes with some NYX glitter primer, and then we will pop that all over the lid. So I picked up that shade Rhapsody with my BK Beauty 203 brush. I'm just going to give it a little bit of spritz with my MAC Fix Plus, and I'm going to press this all over my lid. I'm going to kind of bring it up into the crease just a little bit to kind of cover up that patchiness that we have going on. I'm going to bring it over to the outer corner, but not in the outer corner, and same thing with the inner corner. I don't want to bring it all the way in because I think I do want to pop something else in that inner corner just to kind of brighten it up a little bit. I feel like that lavender shade that I put down definitely pulled a lot deeper than what it looked like it was going to be in the pan. Like, it definitely looked like it was going to be very light, and it pulled just a little bit dark on me. So I'm just going to kind of disperse this out, spread it out, make sure that we are nice and coated and even, and that does look really pretty on the lid. Even though it felt a little bit dry in the pan, it's still performing beautifully. Okay, so I'm going to go in with just a little bit of this deeper purple shimmer shade up here, which is called Exhilaration. And I just want to put it right here on the outer corner where that matte and that shimmer meet, just to kind of soften the line a little bit. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that with that same BK Beauty 203 brush, give it a tiny little spritz, and I'm just going to kind of press and fluff it towards the inner corner, just right where those two shades come together, and see how that's going to give me a softer blend, and it's not going to be so harsh. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do whenever I'm dealing with such high contrasty shades, because I like everything to flow from one shade to another. If you've been here, you've watched my videos, I'm sure you've heard that a gazillion times, but if this happens to be your first video, hello. I like my shades to be as blended as they possibly can be on the lid. Now it's time for the inner corner. So it's going to be between these two shades right here. So I'm going to swatch them out and we'll make a decision from there. So this first one up here is going to be, I can't read that because I just got a whole ton of fallout all over it. This one feels like it's really, really dried out. Like, I don't know if you can tell on my finger. It looks really powdery. But I think that one is called Oden'S, I'm not sure, but then the bottom one is called Swoon. This one still feels very, very creamy, and look at that. There's a huge difference. Like, can you see on my finger how the one shade looks super powdery and the other one still looks very, very creamy? Okay, so here is the first shade right there. It still looks really pretty. It still performs really nicely. It's definitely not quite as smooth as it used to be. Look how beautiful that is. We might top that all over the lid. And the other shade right here has this really pretty sort of multi-chrome flip to it. Oh, that is really, really pretty. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do this in the inner corner and then just tap a little bit of that all over the lid. I'm just going to use my finger for it. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of that shade called Elateness. Like, look at this, y'all. It is so powdery. Like, can you see how it's just kind of crumbling in the pan? It is so disappointing. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a little bit on my finger, give it a little spritz. And I'm just going to pop this like right here in the very center. I don't know if this is going to do anything. It might ruin this look. So yeah, maybe don't do that. I liked the way it looked better before, but it's okay. It still looks really pretty. I'm going to bring a little bit up on my brow bone to give a little added sparkle. I do like that. I think that is fun and really pretty. So let me do the same thing to the other eye. And then we're going to pop the other shade on the inner corner. So with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush, I picked up a little bit of that shade called Swoon, sprayed it, and I'm just going to pop it right here in that very inner corner. And that shade Elateness that I use like to pop over the center of my lid, it is not performing very well. Like, it's chunky, it's just kind of going everywhere, it's making a big mess. Like, it's literally disintegrating in the pan, and I don't remember that shade being super dried out like that. If you have this palette, let me know how yours is aging, if you're still able to get use out of every single shade, if it's drying out, if you're having performance issues. Like, I definitely want to know, because I know I've heard from so many people that their Oden'S eye palettes just aren't aging the way that they want them to. But I'm really curious to know if you have this palette in particular, how it's aging, whether you got it whenever it first launched, you got it a little bit later. I know I definitely got this one on launch, and I had planned on picking up Stone and Rock, but I just never got around to it, and then so many other green palettes launched that I never felt like I needed it, and now I'm actually really glad that I didn't. It's such a shame, but you know, it's the fact of the matter. But that does look really pretty once all is said and done. I just wish I hadn't put that one shade all over the lid, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw on some liner, mascara, and I will come back and show you all the completed look. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look, and after all is said and done, I do think it turned out really pretty, even despite the fact that I had some issues with some of the matte shades. They were just kind of patching and not blending out as easy as I remember them blending out, and I do wish I had kind of skipped out on that one shimmer shade that I topped over the center of my lid. It was just too dry, it was flaky, I got a ton of fallout down here, and I feel like it kind of ruined the look for me just a little bit. Like far away, it looks fine, but when I look at it up close, it's definitely emphasizing a little bit of texture. I got a ton of it all over my lashes as well. So like I said, that shade is slowly disintegrating in the palette, and that's probably the reason why every single time I open up this palette, it looks like I have little flakes all over, specifically this shade right here. I think it's coming from that one up here. So it might be one of those shades that eventually I need to scrape out and just trash it because it's going to make a huge mess. I can just see it happening. But aside from all of that, let's go over what I used to finish off this look. So of course we can turn the lights down, see the shimmer, the shift, the sparkle, and close out this video. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the shade Fig. I skipped out on the liquid liner just because I felt like it was going to make an even bigger mess and I didn't want to get glitter into my liquid liner. So I just went straight into mascara, and for that I went in with my Tarte Lights Camera Lashes mascara. All right, y'all, so that is going to complete this week's Throwback Tuesday video. As always, I hope y'all enjoyed it and were able to draw a little bit of inspiration. Playing with this palette today actually gave me an idea for a future video that I want to do. I love this color story in here. Like I said, the quality is definitely going downhill for me, but I want to see if I can dupe the color story, or at least the vibe of the color story, with some of my singles that I have in my collection. So that means a BYOP is probably going to be coming very soon. Hopefully I can get around to it sooner rather than later. But let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. Like I said, let me know if you have this palette, if you're having the same quality issues. Let me know what palette you voted for, and as always, if there's ever a palette that you want to see included in Throwback Tuesday, leave it down below in that comment section. If I have it in my collection, I am more than happy to pull it, but let's have that conversation, light up that comment section. As always, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me, and if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. And until my next video, have a good one. Bye.